on the up and up with his grandma at school.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, some kids don't care more. But, yeah.
No, they don't.
All right, we on live here. Kyle Means and Joe Tanksley here on Monday Night Means, doing it once again, second to last time before I'm gonna be doing this show before 2022, and Joe giving me some horror stories about his life as a teacher. Mondays are bad enough, but
man, it's not. I wouldn't call them. I wouldn't characterize them as horror stories. Just challenges, challenges. Because I do enjoy teaching, and a lot of days are better than others. So,
I bet most Mondays are pretty tough for you, though.
Yeah, Mondays can be difficult, But today, the students is wound up. They're getting ready to get out for winter break. A lot of them got presents under their tree, so they're anxious to be out of school for a while, and so,
Yeah,
it's
that's definitely a restless time.
Yeah,
kids.
so they're restless, and so it is what it is.
I'm noticing I got two educators on the show. I know you and Steve Parham is going to come on after you leave. Actually, he's the head basketball coach at Julian, and he's been helping out with some of. I guess he's quickly become like my high school basketball correspondent. Like he's talking about stuff that we trying to look more into what's going on the scene here in the city and everything. And of course, him coaching at Julian, he knows a lot. He's a well-respected guy in the city, and trying to build back something up down at that school. But he's also very in tune with stuff that goes on pretty much everywhere. He writes for a website and everything as well. So he's going to be on to talk about one showcase they had over at a Team Rose showcase over at Adidas and everything. Had that over at Mount Carmel over the weekend. There was a couple kids. One kid one kid who was there was the first kid to be recruited by the new regime at Duke. John Shire taking over for Coach K after this year. And he recruited this kid from Yorkville Christian. Okay. And another kid is going to Gonzaga who plays for Glen Bard West. They was out there as well. So they getting it in with the suburbs. You can't play around with the suburb kids here in Chicago either, city or suburbs. So we're gonna talk about that later. Definitely gonna talk about the Bulls and the Hawks losing games. With the COVID stuff, I think we're on the road back to the bubble, man. I don't know.
You really think so? I mean, is this a league-wide thing? I know. I really.
Well,
to be honest,
it hasn't been, but it's been surprisingly centered in with the Bulls. Charlotte has had about 4 or 5 cases at once as well, and they actually it sort of coincides with the Bulls because they played the Bulls like a week ago Monday, and but the Bulls it's just been like an avalanche. Like it's just every day you hear about a new guy getting put onto the COVID protocols. Alize Johnson made it 10 guys today, 10 Bulls. Now the fortunate thing was that
that's insane.
It really is. Like they were down to the league limit of 8 people. You got to have at least 8 active people to play a game, as they have it right now. And the Bulls were at that number, but they were going to gain back 2 more people apparently in Javonte Green and Kobe White for the game that was scheduled tomorrow. But now that's been wiped off for the time being. The Tuesday and the Thursday games this week are postponed. As of now, the next time they're scheduled to play is Sunday against the Lakers here in Chicago. So,
I haven't really, to be honest, I've been primarily focused on what the Bears have been doing. And I've been watching the Bulls play. I've watched quite a few Bulls games this year. But what are like the parameters as far as the amount that the players that have been exposed and do in fact have COVID? How long do they have to sit out the quarantine? I know from experience that, as a teacher, when we have to quarantine our classroom, it was 10 days, 10
Yeah,
calendar days. Is it the
that's
same
what they're
thing?
working with too.
Okay.
It's 10 days. You can get if you get 2 negative tests in one day, you can be cleared to come back in. That happened with LeBron like last
But
week. He
but
got
here's the thing. But
you know
here's the interesting thing, though. Because I'm just speaking from experience. The times that I've had to quarantine my classroom. All it takes is one exposure, and the
Mhm.
whole classroom is shut down. You
Yeah,
see what I'm
yeah.
saying? So with the Bulls, they got multiple cases,
Right. That's why I'm
and they're
like,
still being allowed to play.
yeah, and that's why a lot of people was starting to speak over the past, over the weekend. Essentially, was like, look, something got to be done by the NBA, or this is going to get to a crisis thing where you can't keep having them play
Mm-hmm.
other teams because then it's going to expose the whole league to this. That's why they're taking this break now. So
But
they're
here's the
hoping
thing:
that
the
this thing gets settled in some way over the next week or so, and that it doesn't become a thing. Like I'm being a little bit facetious when I'm talking about the bubble, but it can happen. Like you say, it can happen quickly.
mm-hmm.
It can happen rapidly.
and that, I mean, when this thing first happened, towards the end of 2019, and the NBA came out with the bubble and with all the technology that they were using, and the stuff that the contact tracing and stuff that they did, and all the measures that they took to make sure that they did not spread COVID. To see them behave, Adam Silver and the league behave with this, like they are with the Bulls, seems irresponsible. um and
Well,
so
you know why that's the case is I think it's two things. What is that the virus isn't as deadly at this point as it is
I mean, yeah, the
as
Bulls
it
are.
was,
I mean, the Bulls are
in
100%
2020.
vaccinated. So
Yeah,
yeah, but at the same time, though, um, you got fans in the stands. You got people sitting courtside.
yeah.
Uh,
Well,
you
and
know,
that's the other thing, Joe. What do all those people bring? They bring in money, and they had to spend about a year and a half taking in less revenue because they first couldn't play in front of any fans in their stadiums, and then they could had to play in the bubble. Then they could play in the stadiums again, but they couldn't play in front of any fans. So
mhm.
now that they're trying to hold off for as long as they can any type of drastic, uh, any type of drastic
Well,
reorganizing of the league and the games where they have to cut fans off again and cut off
well,
the
here's the
revenue
thing.
that comes
But
with
here,
it.
but here's the thing, Kyle. I see what you're saying. But it's a double-edged sword, because now you allow a team to travel, play multiple other teams,
Yeah,
possibly expose other teams. So what are you in fact doing? You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like,
I agree with you, sir. I agree with what you said, but that's the league is not they're gonna try all the options that they have until it becomes not feasible anymore. And like I say, it has to do with them keeping the money going that they can get, and not upsetting they just with this season had got back to their regular schedule. I mean, the people don't. We have to remember. We have to remind ourselves that the last season ended in mid-July. That's not when the NBA season is supposed to end. So they
right.
only had that. That gave them like a month less of time to transition into this new season, which they were hoping would be a regularly played season that ends in early June and all that, like they're used to having it. But if and they're reaching, and like you say, Joe, they're playing with fire here.
Mm-hmm.
But until it all blows up, I think like they didn't play. in April of 2020. They shut everything down immediately because nobody knew how dangerous COVID was at the time, and we found out how deadly it was. And they did the right thing there, exactly. But today they're sort of like, okay, we got our vaccinations, we got this and that, our protocols and everything. So let's just try hope against hope that, like I say, go with the protocols and hope against hope that there's not another breakdown that shuts that at least one team doesn't have to get shut down for any uh grand amount of time. And the Bulls are almost that team. We're talking about losing 2 games already, but not losing 2 games, but delaying 2 games.
Yeah.
But if they don't, like I say, they're playing with fire, and if they don't watch themselves, they could lose a significant amount of time in games, and that's going to lead to other teams losing games, and that's going to lead to all types of issues of, competitive balance and all that stuff. And yeah, it's just a lot.
Crazy. It's crazy. And and furthermore, I commend the Bulls for being 100% vaccinated. But other than that, what other practices and stuff are they using for this outbreak to happen the way that it is? I mean,
Yeah, we gotta wonder. Like, some reporting has to be done with this, because what the hell are they doing to be exposed so much to COVID? What are they doing with themselves?
right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll see it. I may speak some more about this later, but with Steve or Drew is supposed to be on as well, but he's been caught up in some stuff outside, so I don't know if he's gonna be able to join us tonight, but we'll see. But yeah, like I said, Bulls missing 2 games. The Hawks had a game tonight that they were scheduled to play with Calgary, and Calgary actually is the one with the issues.
Okay.
The Hawks haven't had any issues or breakouts themselves, but Calgary came in with like several teams. They were supposed to play here in Chicago, and they came in with like several guys exposed, and so that game has been postponed as well. So it's touched, like this Omicron variant and everything is not stopping anytime soon. So I don't know.
So think about this. What? I'm not Greek, so I don't. Maybe one of the frats or the Divine Nine have to chime in and let us know. But how many Greek letters are there? That means it's going to how many different variants there are, right?
Yeah.
So we all the way up
that
at
name, yeah.
Yeah. So they all the way up at the Omicron variant. That's what 15, 16, 17 different variants.
I guess so. Yeah.
It's crazy.
We gonna be up to the Zeta variant and
Right.
the Omega variant and the Kappa Alpha 5 variant.
Right.
Yeah. It's going. Yeah, this stuff ain't leaving no time soon, unfortunately. But Joe, I know you about to leave soon, and we haven't even gotten to the Bears stuff yet. I mean, yeah, ain't really much to. Fortunately, the Bears don't have any breakouts with COVID. They got enough drama without that. But yesterday was a pretty, a good first half, to say the least. I mean, really, you could argue that the game last night was probably the best all around game that they were going to offer this season. I mean, how many more games are they haven't scored any more in the game than they did yesterday? Their defense didn't, well, at least for the first quarter and a half, was as active and aggressive as they've been all season. And the special teams done jack squat all season. They finally do something yesterday in multiple good returns and an actual punt return, which is something interestingly enough, didn't happen in the league at all before last night, a punt return for touchdown.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Jakeem Grant. It was actually, I think I tweeted out, it was me that tweeted out during the Cardinals game that, I noticed that, Jakeem Grant had been taking off, the kick returns, and I thought that maybe would lead, that was leading to a bigger role on offense. And we saw that he was able to make some plays in the Arizona game. I believe he had a touchdown in the Arizona game, didn't he? Yeah, he had a touchdown. He caught a touchdown from Andy Dalton in the Arizona game, and then he comes back this week, and he's able to make a few splash plays for the Bears, and so his decision making sometimes with the kick returns and the punt returns are questionable, but he does have the capability to be electric and break games open, as we can, as we saw last night. And I think the Bears are getting what from Jakeem Grant, what they've been missing from Tariq Cohen, who's been out for injury, and he's he's been an addition later on in the season. And they're just starting to figure out ways to utilize him more on offense, which I think is a good wrinkle to have, and that's something that Nagy likes, those niche guys that he can kind of draw up and all these these cutesy things for, and Jakeem Grant is one of those guys, and so
But you look at stuff, you look at that, and you talk about the different variations of plays that could be drawn up with some of these guys, and I think probably the most explosive play last night from scrimmage in that vein was the Damir Bird play, where he comes from out the backfield and he ends up drawing a matchup with a linebacker, which was a definite mismatch given his speed. He makes a quick cut over the middle. Fields hits him great in stride, perfectly in stride. He goes off about 44 yards for the touchdown.
Goes to the house.
Yeah, ran it. No, not even touched. And it's a great play, great design, great everything. Everybody on the post games loved it and everything. Now, I ask you, why we've had these guys all year, and it seemed like the speed was a premium. The Bears were putting speed at a premium. They wanted these type of speedy guys to make plays, even though we don't have Cohen. Like I say, we got these speedy receivers. It got another one, in fact, who made a game-winning play for Tampa yesterday, and Rashad Parham, who couldn't cut it here for whatever reason. It's interesting that he can cut it in Tampa Bay, though. But I just ask you right quick, man, why does it take so long for these things which we know that they're trying to do at the beginning of the season to be established and be used in any type of effective way? I mean, if they did that a few games ago, maybe, like say, we get the points.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think, as far as the Bears go, what we've seen from them and what we've seen from this coaching staff, there is no cohesive plan as to develop and come up with bread and butter things that you do well. And and we hear this all the time about Matt Nagy. It's not really a scheme, it's just a collection of plays. So and so for me, it's almost like my sense of it is that he's just pulling plays out of the hat. You know what I'm saying? He's just pulling plays out of the hat. Maybe this one will work. Maybe this one will work. Maybe this one will work. And so for me,
the big IHOP board is maybe it's too big for him. Maybe he needs like a
right.
He needs a smaller
and so,
board or something.
So and honestly, I like, for me, watching the Bears offense, it's almost like they don't even watch any tape on what the other teams like to do. All right. They just decide what plays we want to run this week. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You're not actually planning for the team that you're going against. You're just deciding what plays you want to run this week.
Right. Because we want to be more encouraged with what we do.
Right.
And, we want to be able to see that we can do these 1, 2, or 3 things, and then we could feel encouraged. And like Nagy at the half yesterday was like, I'm having fun because he saw a couple of plays that he designed actually get off. So he was Jipper Skipper at that point.
Right.
not realizing the fact that Green Bay just took all the best that he had and was still like
In the game.
they were up a point or down a point, whatever. It was a game, and they were ready to take over in the second half, and he had no idea of how to counter what they were going to counter him with.
Right. And so, and that's the thing, and that's what drives me crazy with this with this regime, is that the inability to coach end game and the inability to coach to the strengths of your personnel. We saw a game last weekend where Bill Belichick with his rookie quarterback, Mac Jones from Alabama, which I'll say, he's having a really successful year. But look where he's at. Look who he has coaching him. All right. He's not as talented as Justin Fields. All right. I don't think he has the pedigree. I mean, he did, coach Alabama, but Alabama's loaded every single year. And he gets up there, he doesn't have the biggest arm, he's not the fastest, all right, but he's very capable. He's a capable young man who's very smart and can run and play for Bill Belichick. Because
and what you're saying, what you're referencing is the Monday night game, and the weather was crazy up in Buffalo, high winds and snow thrown around, and he throws for only 7 times.
He threw 3 times. They had 3 passes.
3 times.
He only threw 3 times.
I knew it was a single digit. But
he threw 3 passes, and Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, they do what they need to do to win that day, that week.
Yeah. They took the ball out of his hands, made sure that he wouldn't throw them out of the game.
Right.
Now, if that was Nagy, the Bears would have threw 30 times and gave the ball up 5 or 6 times. In doing so,
no max protect, only 5-man protections. The bare minimum. And so, and that's the thing. Though you see it, across the NFL, the good coaches do what it takes to win that week. All right, do what it takes. Know who you're going to get up against. What's going to help you beat that team, and then do that.
Definitely. It's as simple as that, and that's separate. That's what today separates the good, even the good coaches, but definitely the great coaches from the mediocre coaches, and that's what the Bears got. They got a mediocre coach, and he's on his way out.
What? I wouldn't even consider him mediocre. Because because I mean, look at how many losing streaks he's had, and he's going through.
That's the sign of him not. Oh, you saying he's worse than mediocre? Okay.
I think he's worse than mediocre.
I thought you were saying that he was better than mediocre. Okay.
I think he's worse than mediocre. Worse than mediocre.
Okay. I was being nice, I guess.
Yeah, nah, he's not he's not an average coach. And an average coach is what they have in Minnesota, and Minnesota's playing better than the Bears right now.
I see what you're saying. Bro. I mean, it's I just don't understand it, man, for real. But as far as I would, let's, like I said, we're not gonna drag on too long. We're gonna get Steve Parham on in a minute anyway. But as far as the positive stuff from yesterday, and probably that boils down to a couple of individuals. I want to throw a question at you that I saw from Jack Silverstein last night on Twitter. He's keeping track of 2 records that are possibly going to be overtaken. One being team records, Bears records. One being the sack record, and Robert Quinn is getting pretty close to that. He's at 14 now, and I think the record's like 17 and a half by Richard Dent. And the rookie quarterback touchdown record, Fields, I think, is within 3 or 4 of that. I forget the player. Let me see if I can look it up right quick. But he had a poll about which records you think will fall. I actually voted that both of them will fall. What do you think?
I do think both of them could fall. The Bears' opponents coming up, the next few games, they don't really have any outstanding dominant teams that they're going against. So
Yeah,
all those records are up for grabs, and so they both have an opportunity to fall.
yeah. And you look at like just the way that Quinn is playing. Like I think him getting 4 sacks in 4 games. I don't think that's gonna be too much to ask of him. And the Bears, the offense has been finally, effective enough to where you figure we're talking about touchdown passes too purely with this record. Uh, I definitely think that that's going to happen for both of them. Okay. Oh, okay. O'Rourke is the
Yeah.
uh, is the quarterback who has the rookie record. I think he says, yeah, it's only 12 that Fields would need to set the record. So
Mhm.
yeah. Well, okay. Let's say so. Fields has 6 now, so
Mhm.
it is a little bit of a challenge for him. He'd have to double his number in the next 4 games.
Yeah. I mean, but is it far fetched that he can go throw two against Minnesota, two against the Giants, and two against the Seahawks?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I
I'm
think,
yeah. I think it can happen. Yeah,
yeah, I think it could happen. In the same vein with Quinn going up against those same opponents. I think he has a good shot at getting that dent record. Maybe surpassing it as well.
yeah, definitely. All right. Uh, yeah, I'm getting ready to let you go, Joe. I'm trying to I'm trying to see. I guess it's tweeting out the link to the show, which I appreciate, but he's not getting in the room yet. Okay, he said he just said he about to log in. But anything else, right quick before like I say Steve joins us that jumped
You
out
know what?
to you
I
about the
was. You know
weekend?
what? I was slightly impressed with the play of Jalen Johnson when he did match up with Devontae Adams.
Sure, yeah,
That was a good matchup, and he played very well. And I like that how hard he was on himself after the game of about what he needs to do to get better. And kudos
yeah.
to Green
He
Bay for
approached that matchup well though, like
yeah, he
and
did,
the
and
way
then
yeah,
and Green Bay had the scheme ways to 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 get him the ball, in which they did, but he showed up and he played very well.
definitely. He had a lot of effort to it. He was nice and physical on those a lot of those 1-on-ones. They showed it pretty well on the broadcast. Gave him some props. I'm a a lot of people had a lot of different things to say about the broadcast. Of course, that typically is the case when it's your
Right.
team on Sunday night, and you always notice something annoying that Collinsworth says or Al Michaels says or something. That one thing I'm gonna back up that was brought to notice when they talked about the coaches' records against Green Bay, and like they showed that Hallis had a winning record and Dick had a winning record, of course. Uh, but they grouped in all the coaches after that having like 13, 14 wins or something. And people was like again, shout out Jack Silverstein. You know, they didn't mention that Lovey had 8 of those wins. He had, more than half of the wins out against Green Bay that have been since Ditka. And you got to give Lovey his props to that. Lovey approached the rivalry in the way that it needed to be approached, and
Hmm.
nobody really has done it before him or since him in the post Ditka era.
But here's the thing, I think that as far as with things go in the city, I think a lot of folks would rather have Lovey back right now than what they've gone through the last, with 3 coaches. Was it we had
Yeah,
Tressman, John Fox,
Trustman, Fox, and
and then
Nagy.
Nagy. You know, I mean, minus the 12-4 season, which which we all know is luck now, beginner's luck.
It was a
uh,
complete fluke. Yeah,
it was beginner's luck.
yeah,
We know. it's Lovey was legit. He got him to a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? They won playoff games. They had some exciting teams. They never quite could have, figure out, having Jay Cutler and getting him reined in. But he did a good job.
Yeah. There's shout out to Lovey, man. I hope he
Right.
what job he got now? I think he's a coordinator somewhere. I forget. But
Yeah, he's a coordinator somewhere. I can't remember where.
yeah, but he doing his thing, man. Probably still got the white beard and everything.
Right.
If I was him, man, I'd be creeping on the come up for a new job because look at all that money that Tucker got in Michigan State. It's some look at all the money these coaches are getting in general. Like
Yeah, true indeed. And I think a lot of coaches, especially in the NFL, their salary is not even advertised. So, it is what it is. But Mel Tucker, you talk about a guy who was the worst in Chicago, but he's doing his thing with Michigan State. And it's all about recruiting and getting the right kids to play for you. So I mean, he's done well at Michigan State.
Yeah, definitely. Let's bring Steve in as send Joe off. You
All
good,
right, gentlemen.
Steve?
You all have a
Yeah,
nice
can you hear
evening.
me?
Yeah,
All right, man. Have a good one, Joe.
Thank you so much.
All right, man. See you. I guess I'll talk to you later in the week, but I guess we'll probably be attending that Monday night game next week. I guess
that's gonna be a good one. That's gonna be a good one.
I guess it'll be competitive at least. Yeah. I don't know how good it'll be, but it'll be probably be competitive. But yeah, we'll check. We'll give y'all more on that in the upcoming week. But all right, Joe, enjoy your week, bro. Enjoy your night.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. All right, Steve. How's it going on, man? How's it going?
Man, before I logged on, definitely heard you guys talking about the Bulls and the COVID protocol, and yeah, I'm crossing my fingers, but I'm probably a day away from finding out if my team is gonna be going through one ourselves.
Okay, so that's a good place to start there. So there is a chance that has there been a lot of talk on this high school level about, because like we're gonna talk about an event like the last couple of weeks there have been multiple events going on here in the Chicago area, and a lot of people getting together and everything like that, and kids get together, and you never know what kids can spread to each other at any given moment. So what is the situation right now for you, and do you see any type of postponement, any type of challenges like that lying ahead for you or for anybody else?
Yeah, so I'll speak about my situation first currently. Today had practice, and practices didn't feel right. A lot of guys were, having headaches and things of that nature, and just wasn't going as hard as I expected after giving them 3 days off to kind of like rest their bodies and kind of recuperate from a busy first 2 weeks we had during the season. And we got in the gym today, and a lot of kids had the same type of ailments, and so it was kind of like on me. I just felt like I want to be precautious again, and I just shut down practice, because when everybody's suffering from the same things, that can't be a coincidence.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a couple kids who stayed home for the same thing. So I just said, let's shut it down. And normally what happens is for CPS, we have this COVID protocol where if you're not vaccinated, they have companies come in and test their students. So it's like a mandatory, students have to get tested for COVID, and a group comes in once a week. And normally all the athletes go and get tested, and then if they're clear, they're able to play.
Okay.
And if you don't get tested, then you won't be able to play that week. So today, being Monday, my guys went down and got tested today, but we probably won't find out until like tomorrow or maybe Wednesday about the outcome of the COVID test.
And me and Joe, we were talking go about it earlier. We sort of wondering, like, what type of things, could allow for something like this to spread so rapidly among a basketball team? Like we've all played the game, but to be on an organized level and have travel with guys and do things like that, like that at the NBA level they're doing so much to try to offset these things, but it's still not working for the Bulls at least. And I know there's a lot less available for you to at your level to offset these things. But on a general sense, what do you think could allow for such rapid transmission of a disease or illness or something like this to happen amongst a basketball team?
Well, for one, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, honestly, the kids are supposed to be wearing masks. They're supposed to be wearing masks during games. And honestly, you can't tell me a game where you've seen kids completely wearing masks over their faces.
Majority of the kids see it under the chins, and
they're under the chin the whole game. And like, it's funny at the Team Roll shootout, listening to some of the refs on the sideline who they weren't. It wasn't their game, so they were just kind of talking about it. They were saying like, why are we having mask timeouts for kids that's not wearing masks? We're supposed to have a mandatory mask timeout, and the kids, they have them on, but they're like chin diapers. They have them on under the chin, and that's where they're at. And so we're stopping the game, but like it's mandatory for the refs to have them over their mouths, but the kids aren't wearing them. So that's one way how I can see it is probably spreading. And then let's be honest, I mean, it's just so hard to police a lot of the kids inside and outside the school. So I mean, we know it's been a long time of these kids being, without being in school. So missing their friends and being around them. And, these kids aren't the first thing they're thinking of, before I be, jumping on you and hugging on you, let me put my mask up. Like, that's not the first, that's not the thing they're going to think of. So
they're not going to be that responsible.
Exactly. They're not responsible whatsoever. Still high school kids. So that's what's, I mean, from my point of view, that's what's been happening.
Steve, walk me through, because I was wondering about that. I've seen the pictures and stuff where kids have had masks on the court, and I was wondering about the rules that are in play right now for these. Like you mentioned the mandatory mask timeout. Could you go over some of the major things that you guys have to do in regards to mask and playing, at the high school level? Because at the other levels, there's no masks are involved at all. But it still is the case on the high school level.
As far as I know, going into the season, we went through trainings about the COVID mandate and things of that nature of how we're supposed to prepare for games. Can I say everybody has executed properly? No, that we haven't. As much as I could keep telling my kids to pull their mask up, it's just not happening. I mean, CPS and IHSA wants every kid to have the mask over the nose and the mouth. And like you said, if you've seen quite a few pictures where kids probably had it either up or just completely below the chin. And I was under the impression that the referees were going to enforce it. I thought they were going to stop games. Hey, pull the mask up. But you may see that on the higher levels. But on the lower levels, those refs are just trying to get in and get out. So they're not really controlling that aspect of the game. Again, like I said, one of the other things were getting testing every week at the school. If you don't have COVID, if you do the test and you don't have COVID, you're able to play. If you do have it, then you have to sit out for maybe, I want to say, the week or a week and a half. Possibly like the mandatory 10 days situation. But I mean, that's pretty much everything that they put in place. And there could be more, but on the basketball side, it's they try to cover it as much as possible, but we just haven't been seeing it implemented a lot, especially in a lot of these high level games that we saw the past few weekends.
And so you talking like say Team Roll shootout, and we had you on before the Elite Classic a couple weeks ago. That hasn't been the case with games like that, these showcase games.
No, definitely. I mean, at the League Classic, I mean, one team was from California where they probably don't wear masks at all. So they
Mhm.
mask on a bench. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really fault them because they're coming into it not really knowing the protocol that we have out here. But for the most part, I mean, I know coaches have been wearing masks on during the game, but sometimes when you yelling and you intense and trying to get your point across to your players,
And
sometimes it
you
gets
try to be
forgotten.
understood. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to pull it down. And you might forget. I know personally a couple times I've got so frustrated, threw my mask off, and then by halftime I'm looking for it again because I'm like just into the game and totally forgot and thinking I'm back in 2019,
Right.
like everything is
I,
cool.
I
But
want to
yeah,
see. I want to see a coach start chewing on their mask like Arcadian used to do with the
right.
towel. Like,
Yeah, exactly right. That'll be I'm not, that'll be the new one. Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah,
But yeah,
that's crazy.
right quick though. Before I want to get into some of these games that you did see
Okay.
recently. But do you think that at some point, because another point that me and Joe were talking about was like, they're trying their best at the NBA, at the pro level and everything. They're doing as much as they can to stave off any type of significant postponements or any type of reorganization of the league and everything of the schedule. Yeah, with that being the case, do you think that the possibly there could be masks on in pro games or high level college games and stuff like that?
Well, if we remember in college last year, we had tons of games that was probably suspended due to COVID. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's
When I say the mask, do you think in order
oh,
to try to
I
guard
don't.
against that?
Yeah, I don't see it happening. I don't see
Yeah,
it happening. A lot of the money is being made off the players' likenesses, and if you're not seeing their faces, it's tough.
yeah,
So I think that's one of the main things. The leagues, all the leagues are trying to recoup all that money that they lost because of COVID. Um, and I don't see them stopping at all, especially, since the NCAA decided to do their thing and, they're nothing but money. And so I don't see the pro leagues doing that no time soon. Like you said, the Bulls will probably miss 2 games, and I'm pretty sure they'll be rescheduled at a later date because they need to get that money. I mean,
yeah.
that
They're
was the
not
main.
right. They not gonna lose those games.
No,
Definitely.
they're not gonna lose their money. And I mean, you saw it. I mean, remember going back to the bubble, like a lot of those teams, they played in Orlando, and remember how watching those games, like each game, all games at the same arena, but each game,
Mm.
since Denver home game, Denver had their main sponsors logo in the middle of the court or on the court side. So they still, they made sure they found a way to still get
Yeah,
their money.
yeah.
So
They'd have the projections on
yeah,
the court.
exactly,
Like, yeah, the
exactly.
digital projections and everything.
Yeah, and it changed each team, whoever was playing, their main sponsor. Because remember, every team now in the NBA is sponsored by some
Yeah.
company now. They have
Yep.
to make sure, which is one of the main reasons why they were going to do the other bubble out here in Chicago for all the teams that didn't make it, because
Yeah.
those companies are like, okay, well those teams are still playing. We paid all this money to get our brand, and because this team didn't win, we still need to get our money's worth.
Yeah.
So I
They
mean,
miss. Yeah. They don't want to
yeah,
miss out.
no,
Yeah.
they don't want to miss out. And
And,
so,
and see, and see, I'm like, I'm being, I've joked about a little bit that we're on the road back to the bubble, but I mean, you know, I could see what it happening where it not necessarily be the one bubble, but you might have the multiple play areas or whatever, secluded play areas, and they try to do what they can. If it gets to a certain level, a certain degree of outbreak, but it they it's just I, they play with fire to me, Steve, and I think
yeah,
they I don't know what they can do to when you get to a team losing 10 guys at once, you know uh, how long are they going to have to sit the Bulls for the Bulls to be straight?
and that should be a huge concern. And even though they get that exception of being able to sign players. Like in the long run, you
But
never know.
they bring in new guys, and the new guys get
And
sick.
you see it, yeah, and exactly. I think
Yeah,
in the long run, um, the NBA could go back to the bubble. I would, if I'm the NBA, I would probably cut out the All Star weekend, even though it's so much money to be made. But
man. Cleveland's gonna
remember,
hate
yeah, I know, but who wants to go to Cleveland? This would be the perfect year to do
that.
that. Joakim Noah,
Yeah,
who wants to
right.
be in Cleveland? But I mean, realistically, I would think they would shut it down for a week, let everybody for 2 weeks, let everybody get back on par, and then finish the rest of the year in a bubble. To me, I've
Yeah.
always, and being a Chicago guy, I've always thought that McCormick Place would be one of the best places to do. With all that room, they could bring NBA courts, sit them all over there like they would do at
Yeah.
AAU event.
Yeah.
Put those. We got two big hotels, and you got the Wintrust Arena. You
Yeah.
use all that space. Players don't go anywhere. Chicago has the best food, so who wouldn't want to be? Who wouldn't want to come out here for another month or two and be out here in Chicago and just finish the games out here?
I agree with that's it's a good central location too.
Yep,
So like yeah, if you're the league, I would expect them to do have one in Orlando or Florida somewhere
I would do
because
three,
because
double
they're
three.
yeah, but you have another one in Chicago and
You
maybe
have to do
another
one in Vegas. You
one
have
in
to probably do
Vegas.
one in
Yeah,
Vegas. Yeah,
that'd probably be all you need, really.
right. You
Those
you just
three.
do the three. Yeah, you do the three, and then if teams got to go travel, they go straight. They travel, spray everything down, go straight to the hotels, nowhere
Mhm.
else. Game day, walk through the tunnel, and go straight. You don't even have to go outside.
Yeah,
Everything is
I mean
secluded.
they did an amazing job with the
Yeah,
Orlando bubble, and
right.
it's funny because I looked up. I think this came up over the weekend because the LA had played the Magic, but
Right.
LeBron, says that here in Orlando, he said on the Shop Show that here in Orlando now gives him PTSD and all that. So I'm sure it was rough for the guys down there, but
Oh, definitely.
what you gonna do at this point, man?
You want to continue to make your money. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, you didn't see many opt out. So I mean, if the NBA has to do it, they're gonna do it, and the players is gonna have to figure out what's best for them and their families.
yeah, definitely. We'll see how it goes, man. I'd hate for it to be like a derailment of the Bulls season too. Just as we just in wrapping that's this part of the segment up. Like like I said, the season has been such a good start.
Sure.
So
Yep.
many good positive feelings about the team. It'll be really messed up for that to be, like I say, derailed
Yep.
because of not being able to contain this illness and stuff. And the fortunate thing too is that it's not like really debilitating anybody from what we've heard. Most of the guys are having minor effect on them,
Symptoms. Yeah.
minor symptoms, yeah,
Yeah.
and some aren't even exhibiting any symptoms. But we know you don't want to play with this at all. They there's been a report already about I think in England about a person passing from the Omicron variant. So we don't this thing is still new. This specific version of it is still new, and as long as you have these new variants coming, we gotta exhibit as much precaution as possible, much
No.
caution as possible.
No. Definitely. I'm not sure what the number was. I want to. I mean, I don't want to be misquoted about if we had. I think we had one person in Chicago that had the
Yeah,
Omicron.
this
Yeah, there's been
made
cases.
it here.
So, and they said this is that one is the most fastest spreading one. So that could definitely be a major concern.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. And again, we don't factor is now with all the arenas also being back basically to 100% capacity.
yes.
Like, I mean, they can do the forehead test all you want. That thing get through like little mice. It don't
Hmm.
matter. Like someone,
And that may provide a buffer too, where if as in regards to getting into the bubble thing, maybe they don't necessarily go that far, but they might have to eliminate the crowds again or cut
scale
back.
back. Yeah, scale
Scale
back.
back on the crowds.
Yeah.
And because like you say, there's a lot of that could be coming. Players
Family.
they'll get family into the games and friends, and they'll get to hugging and shaking up with them after games and stuff. So it can come from all these directions, man.
Yep.
If I say if unless you're containing these teams, completely in a bubble by themselves, you don't have 100% control on the way that they interact with the world around them.
Exactly, and there's no way to really police them as well. These are still grown men who have their own lives, and going back again to the bubble part. Who was that was sneaking out going to the strip clubs? Was it Lewis Williams?
Lewis Williams.
At the end of the day, they still gonna go do and hang who they want to hang with, and you just got to be, they got to be careful. And the NBA has to probably, especially now with the Bulls, they're gonna have to take a stand and like, hey, we got to hunker down and kind of get this back quarantined a bit.
Yep. Definitely. Well, before we wrap up, man, again, I'm labeling you my prep high school, my high school correspondent.
Got you.
You've been helping out with that. Really appreciate it. And you went out to the Team Rose event at Mount Carmel this weekend, and you told me I wasn't able to make it, but you told me that it was going to be in a lot of ways better than the Elite Classic was going to be. Do you think that wound up being the case? They had a couple players there that weren't at the Elite Classic.
Right.
A couple of showcase players from the area. The Duke recruit was Jaden Schutt.
Yep.
And a guy from Glenbard West, the Gonzaga.
Braden Huff.
Yeah. So starting with those two games, like what'd you think about what you saw there?
Well, before I start, I want to clear up. I didn't say it was better because I don't want like people killing me out in the streets.
Okay, I ain't gonna put you out there.
No. So the games overall, there were some much tighter games, some better games to like kind of sit and watch. The event overall is always a much anticipated event, like the Chicago Elite Classic. It normally happens every week after the Elite Classic, so it's always fun to have. It sort of reminds me like a city versus suburban type field. Like a lot of the games is like a lot of the city schools versus a lot of the suburban schools, whether it's Catholic League, Public League, like I said, North Suburban, South Suburban, West Suburban schools always come and just kind of give a real more of a basketball high school atmosphere as opposed to Elite Classic, which is more like an event. That's sort of
the college stadium and everything.
Yeah, college stadium. We it's funny at the Elite Classic. We said it's like our big family reunion. Like the Elite Classic is like the big family reunion to kind of get started before the season, and then the Team Rose event is really the how we get started. But no, honestly, to jump into what I was saying, Yorkville Christian has Jaden Schutt. Like I said, Duke commit. They played a really tough Hyde Park team who's like really been on the up this season. Hyde Park has a kid by the name of Devontae Hall, probably a low Division I type kid, getting quite a few looks for some schools. But man, Jaden Schutt came and put on a show. The man put on a shooting clinic. Every spot on the court, it felt like he couldn't miss. 2 or 3 guys running at his face. He lit them up. Fadeaways. Got to the rim a couple of times. Mid range. The kid can score. And realistically, his whole team can score. They have a sort of a real exciting team. Don't really play with a lot of defense, but they get the ball out quick, and they just look to the first person who's open. Normally, is taking the best shot available.
Okay. So, what do you think of? about, you say he went out there and produced well. I see. I got a report from the Sun Times in front of me. Say he scored 15 consecutive in the second quarter and at 35 overall. So it seemed like this is a guy who is he's ready. He seems to be ready for the moment and ready to prove himself as a guy who probably has a big target on him right now, being a Duke recruit.
Yeah, in a state, when you commit to Duke, you always get that bullseye put on your back.
Yeah.
That's one of the blue bloods. It's the Duke Kentucky type feel. Like you get that on your back, then everybody's gunning for you. And definitely a lot of they were gunning for him in that game. But he's one of those kids who answers the call every time. I've watched him play. He's, like I said, really phenomenal kid. Very athletic. I think he almost caught an alley-oop dunk that would have sent the whole gym up, but he had just missed it. Going forward, I think he'll fit well at Duke. He, like I said in the podcast previously, he's that John Sire with a little bit more athleticism. He's what's my man Allen that everybody hated at Duke?
Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen. He's that Grayson Allen type of guy, kid that he'll be there for probably 2 to 3 years, and everybody's gonna hate him. Like, how long have you been here at Duke? Because he's gonna light everybody up.
They kind of need a kid like that again. They haven't had a kid like that in a few years.
Yeah, again, like I said in the previous podcast, Joey Baker was supposed to be that guy, and it just never materialized with him. He just never became that gem rat that they thought that they were getting from him, because they normally always get one. They always get one. If it wasn't Kyle Singler, Grayson Allen, and I can name off of quite a few other ones. But yeah,
JJ Redick going back.
JJ Redick, yeah, or before him, Wojciechowski. Yeah. So yeah, they're getting a really good one with him. I don't see him being my part of the big rotation next year at Duke. Because I think quite a few kids will probably come back. Now with the NIL in place, I mean, who wants to leave Duke and just go play in the G League? You know what I'm saying? When you can probably make more money staying in Duke where you're loved and everybody wants to, see you. So that can be different. And John Sire is taking over. So I can see them playing a little more of a free flowing type of basketball. Now
more up tempo.
More up tempo. I think Shire would definitely be a player's coach that Duke fans would love to have, and that's me being a Duke fan. So
right. Yeah, I say if people ain't see you on running with Warrior, you went over your Duke fandom there.
Yeah, man.
But a big Duke fan.
Yeah, huge. So I mean, that was one of the showcase games. The next one was probably one of the best games again so far of the year. And granted, too, Yorkville Christian played Glen Bars West the night before.
Right. Were you at that game, or did you just?
No, I watched it online. The NFHS service, I just watched it online because I was nowhere going to be able to get out to Yorkville Christian. It was just a trip. Yeah, but no, they played each other the night before. And,
who won that game?
Glen Bar West kind of destroyed them. They just had too much size and too much size, and they actually played defense. So that sort of came into play. But the next game, I think surprised a lot of people. Hillcrest, one of the South Suburban favorites every year. Sure. The Hillcrest Hawks, man, they came ready to the battle, and honestly, they answered the call. They were really up most of the game. It was sort of a back and forth teeter, but the Hillcrest went up quite a couple times in the game when had a lot of people saying, like, okay, at what point is Glen Bar West going to take over? But they never did. Hillcrest had the size to compete with them. And Hillcrest really, they just they played a different style of basketball that I think Glen Bar West is not used to. That's sort of a rugged city type style where they get in your face. They're not really afraid of you. They'll use your strength and make it your weakness. And one of Glen Bar West's biggest strengths is, like I said, they have size. Braden Huff is a 6'10", forward who they use as a point guard. I mean, gosh, who's going to really steal the ball from him? Then they have a kid, Bobby Durkin, who's really good, big time shooter, who I saw a lot on our prep hoop circuit. Really good. Then, man, I'm missing quite a few.
But it's going to be in a tight game. I got a report in front of me of 51-58 Glen Bar final, and Huff apparently had to block a shot at the last second.
Yeah, I guess you could say he actually had to take over down the stretch for them because Hillcrest's defense was really suffocating, and the other guys they really wasn't used to that type of ball pressure, and so Braden Huff, being the 6'10" guard, had to take over and get Glenbard West to a win, man.
Okay, that when you have that special player, that's going to be the case at this level. Sometimes you just got to let them, guide you to that win.
Yeah, and again, so I didn't mention it. Kids going to Gonzaga, again, one of the top teams in the nation. Yeah. I mean, realistically, they are high major. We're not even talking about their conference. Gonzaga themselves are a high major program.
Yeah, they're definitely. They're one of the. I can't call them the blue blood yet, but
not yet. But
they've been competitive for like 20 years now.
Going strong and it seems to only be getting stronger and stronger. So yeah, man. I mean, we kind of have to put them on that notch right below the blue bloods. I mean. Yeah, I put them with the Illinois. I mean, I know some Illinois fans think they blue bloods, but no. Right.
No. Yeah, I mean, I could go into that, but
we didn't.
We'll talk a little college before we go. But before that, I just want anything else that stood out to you from the Team Rose event.
I would say a big performance on Sunday from a guard. So Joliet West has a future high major guard in the making. Little Fear, I always get the name wrong. It's either Jeremy or I forget the boy's name. They played Brother Rice, and though the game wasn't as competitive, you can see where this kid is going to be a high major talent that everybody's going to come and try to pick from out of Illinois. That was a pretty good game.
Justice McNair?
No. What's that boy's name? I think it's Jeremy Fears.
Jeremiah Fears.
Jeremiah Fears. Yeah, I'm sorry. Man, my bad. I see the kid all the time. Jeremiah. And my bad, because his older brother is at La Lemire, who's a top 30 talent in his class. He's possibly going to come back to Illinois, the state of Illinois next year, possibly. I know I can't stamp anything, but the younger brother showed out, played pretty well. Didn't have his best game, but the kid from Brother Rice, Ahmad Henderson, was huge. He put on a point guard clinic. He was really good. And then the last game, Curie versus Leo was a really good game, man. Curie is basically they are the host of this event. Being that they're sponsored by Team Rose, they host the event, and Leo was one of those schools that you can never really count out. A lot of people don't know many of the players on their team, but they play super hard, and they play. To me, I told a lot of the other media guys, Leo kind of rivals a little bit. Mirrors Curie, where over the summer they just go play everywhere, and it doesn't matter, and they just go play and get better as a team. Every weekend, it doesn't matter who they're playing against, city, suburban, they just go and play. And a lot of times that which is what Curie does, and that helps them come the season. Everybody's gelling and playing well come in December.
I know a few Leo alums. I saw one on Facebook the other day. I think they have had I forget what school. It might have another one of the schools we was talking about. They had played them in their gym.
And what those St. Ignatius?
St. Ignatius, yes.
St. Ignatius, who has quite a few prospects on their team. And yeah, Leo got him in that gym and kind of mopped the floor with him because they just play toughness with tenacity, man. And yeah, man, they that's one of those teams you gotta watch if you want in the lower levels of IHSA. If you're a 1A or 2A school, I think they're 1A. But if you're one of those schools, like Leo's one of those schools, you can't not forget because they seem to be coming. And majority of the kids on that team are juniors and sophomores, so that's even more scary.
Oh, yeah, definitely more chemistry there. Those guys, like I say, they know how to play with each other as well. So,
Yep.
well, you mentioned smaller schools. I gotta get you to talk about uh, your small school tournament that you're having
Mhm.
over the holiday season before we go. But before that, yeah, talking a little bit about the college game and over the week. This was a pretty interesting weekend. With the college game starting back with the upset of Purdue at Rutgers. Then you had Rutgers and Seton Hall. Actually, they both had top 10 wins on the same night. Then they
Yep.
played each other on Sunday, and Seton Hall beats Rutgers.
Yep.
Like
that battle for New Jersey. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
And there was some high profile games throughout the weekend. I saw a little bit of the Villanova game. They Baylor just whooped on them, and so Baylor's number one now. Purdue falling back. I saw the Illinois Arizona game, and it seemed like a lot of people are waking up to Arizona now. Anytime you win in Champaign, of course, is a good mark. And I watched that whole game, and they just seem like a really tough team that really it's not Arizona teams that we've been used to in the past where you had all these high profile guys. Like they got a lot of European guys and stuff like that. But though they played hard, and whatever Illinois threw at the they didn't. As I said again, I got my stuff with Illinois.
I got you.
But they got some. They really need a guy to control the ball for them late in games for one. But before it got to that point, they were hitting a lot of threes. Like that Plummer kid they got from Utah is killing it.
Yep.
Frazier is shooting as good as he's ever shot. They didn't get the ball in well to Kofi.
Yep.
And he was kind of lost in the sauce for a lot of the game. But like I said, the Arizona team is pretty tough, and a lot of people are looking at them in the top 10 now as being a team that could compete well with. You got any thoughts about how things are shaping up on the college side?
No, definitely. I mean, one being close to the DePaul program with my cousin being assistant coach there.
Oh yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
Big win over Louisville on Friday.
Yeah,
I watched that game too. That was great win.
Huge win, and huge win in Louisville, and to double the fact that they beat Rutgers, who beat Purdue, always looks great on the resume. With only having one loss, and realistically, I think that was their first road game. I mean, up until that game, they've been playing every game at home, so that was big to kind of get a win over an ACC team. With Illinois, man, I would definitely say they're really missing Carbello. I mean, not Carbello. Carbello, yeah. I think they sort of need him, but he also needs that break to kind of see where he needs to fit in with this team. This is a totally different team than what they had last year. No matter what people were saying, they felt that they were better this year. No way. I'm sorry.
I made so much difference for them, man. It's crazy.
I know, and I also feel Georgie, that kid was a huge. He was a guy, an energy guy on and off that bench for that team that always got those guys fired up. Yeah. He played a huge role for that team down the stretch, especially when Kofi went to the bench, and then you could come with him, and he can go in and sort of play inside, outside as well. I think they were really missing that. And then also with this team, I just saw Austin Hutchinson just went down. He might be out for the rest of the season. So they're fighting their team from last year. Basically, they're fighting the mystique of that team from last year, which is unfair to them. but I think that's sort of kind of weighing heavy on them.
This has been a harder schedule than that team had last year
Definitely.
so far. So
Definitely.
when you look at them losing to Arizona, who may be a top 10 team for a while going forward,
Easily.
Losing to Marquette, who has turned out to be a pretty good team.
Pretty good team. Yep.
Yeah.
Marquette beat UCLA, right? Marquette just beat UCLA in Milwaukee. Did they lose?
I think UCLA won that game because I was
okay.
Yeah, I think UCLA won. They did play. They played on Saturday, but yeah.
Right. Okay.
I think UCLA won that one, but
so I'm wrong. Yeah.
So they, I forget what the third loss is for Illinois. I think it was, but I don't think that they don't really have a bad loss. Basically, they're 7-3, but I like I say there's still they got some growing to do, definitely. And not having Carbello in that Arizona game probably did make a difference.
Hurt them. Yep.
Definitely. So
especially down the stretch, you would think by Trent Frazier being that 5-year guy that he would be able to kind of, but his role has changed from year to year. You got to remember when he first started there, he was more of a scorer his freshman year under the old regime. Then coming with the new regime, they had him off the ball so much that I can kind of understand how it would kind of be kind of difficult for him to kind of jump back into that point guard mode. Especially having to play with Ayo and Carbello the last 2 years. Like those guys are so ball dominant that you can't. I mean, whatever you say, like if you're not on that ball consistently and not always running plays as the lead point guard, you can lose something sometimes. You can lose that sharpness.
Yeah. Any other teams that? Well, and you mentioned DePaul. Like they may be getting some looks now. We hollered at Seth Davis. He didn't respond to me yesterday.
Yeah,
but,
right.
He said, he had his top 25. But I would I would think that DePaul would be like a 35 team at the moment.
I think so. Well, you got to remember their only loss was to a really good coach Loyola team, man.
And Loyola is a team that
man,
they still 30 rolling. Right now,
yeah. I think they were 24 in his rankings. I'm not sure what they are in the national AP poll, but they have to be up there. Remember, they lost tough games to Michigan State and UConn. I mean, how can you fault that? Being a Missouri Valley team this year until they move conferences, but yeah, man, Loyola's really strong still. They run their sets to a T, and they don't really get razzled much by the guys who they're playing against. I mean, Loyola is going to be again one of those teams down the stretch that you can look up and they're back in the Sweet 16 come March.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to see all the local teams in person over this year. I'm planning to go to the UIC DePaul game tomorrow. Yeah, so
I might be there. It's a possibility I might be there.
Okay, cool.
Depending on, like I said, depending on what's going on with my team, that holds a lot. Yeah, it holds a lot.
Speaking of your team and what you got going on, I see the tweet of Michael O'Brien from the Sun-Times tweeted out your bracket for the Julian Small School Holiday Tournament. And you tweeted as well. It's the first year that you've had it. So talk about that, before we go and there's something that's going on from the 27th to the 29th.
Yeah. 3 days. Like I said, it's 8 teams. We're going to start off 8 teams. Just kind of get a feel for it. For the most part, I've gotten quite a few schools contacting me about being a part next year. And the reason why I did it, I saw that what's missing in the Christmas tournament, for one, we don't have many city tournaments anymore. We used to do a CPS Christmas tournament. That's gone now because of the major outpour of these suburban schools. I mean, you got to think about it. In the one area alone, we got Proviso West, Hinsdale Central, and York, who are all in a 15-minute range of each other. And they have all the teams going out there. And I'm saying to myself, why do we keep going out to these other schools to play in their events when we have enough schools out here to do our own thing out here in the city. So I decided to go along that route. And then playing a few years ago when I was assistant coach at Kenwood, we played out in Bloomington, and they have a tournament, the State Farm tournament, where they have over 64 teams. But what they do is very unique. They still do 16 teams, but they do a small school bracket and a large school bracket.
Okay.
Now, of course, a lot of the small schools won't be able to really compete with a lot of the large schools. So I'm thinking, and I'm like, why don't we have so many small schools in Chicago? Why not just do a small school tournament in Chicago? So a lot of these smaller teams don't have to go out and drive far and go get whipped by 40 every day. And then now you got to go.
Competitive balance.
Yeah, it's more competitive balance. And now you're not coming back into the second half of your season feeling all where you got kids who might want to quit because they tired of getting whipped on, and really, because realistically, come March, you're not playing these teams. You're not playing these teams for state. You're playing the smaller schools who will play a different style of basketball. And granted, you want to see where you are playing larger schools, but in the grand scheme of things, you really want to prepare your team for what you're going to see come March. And that was one of the reasons why I put the tournament together. Like I said, I've been getting really good feedback from a lot of schools. Once we kind of get started, I'm gonna put a feeler out because really, Julian, we have two courts in the same building. So, like I said, we're gonna do we're gonna start out with 8 teams this year, and next year we can evolve to 16. And shoot, maybe we can, grow from there. But I don't want to make it too big because then it gets oversaturated with just like bad basketball. So eventually, you just want to just start small and see how we can grow from there.
And I know when you talked with me and my guys on and Drew and us on the other show, we talked a little bit about you building up the program down there at Julian. I'm guessing you think this plays a role in that as well, as far as making Julian more of an active basketball school again, or just making people more aware of Julian basketball.
It helps out for me, but I feel the other part is I really want to help a lot of these other smaller schools who have maybe 1 or 2 kids that could probably get recruited by some of these lower JUCO programs and some of the lower NAI or D3 schools. For the most part, we've played so far 7 games, and I can tell you every game I play is probably 1 or 2 guys on the other team that could probably play college next year somewhere. So to do a tournament like this is sort of kind of kind of brings a lot of those guys to light, and it helps my program as well. We're playing competitive games where we're not just blowing teams out. We're playing teams who are sort of in the same boat as us, teams that's trying to get their programs back on track. We're playing Crane's in it. Remember, like we just played. I played Crane last week. We won the overtime. Like I said on my tweet, it wasn't the triple overtime classic that was on our show Preps in 2001, but it was still a fun game to be played. I felt the nostalgia in it, going to Crane and playing them in their gym, and just Julian versus Crane, like this, a fierce competitive game. And so like they're in the tournament as well. Again, another program trying to get back on track. And there's other schools of that's sort of the same thing. I want to reach out to like King and some other schools, man, and just kind of just get that good small school and just kind of get let them know that they're not forgotten, and that it's okay to just play within your area and still have a good season.
Right. That's definitely wishing you good fortune with this tournament, man, and everything. So again, that's going to be at Julian, right? From
yes, at
the
Julian.
27th to the 29th.
27th to the 29th. I think we're adding a girls portion to it on our second court. Like I said, want to expand that part too. Want to continue to help the girls game grow and do the same thing for them, because we got quite a few girls who love to play basketball, but just at smaller schools. And them going to play these top schools sometimes could be deflating to them when they go play and they losing. Freaking, I saw a couple scores from past weekend, girls scores like
Yeah,
52 to 8. Like that's not
those
fun.
those blowouts can be real bad.
Yeah, it's not fun. It can hurt some younger girls who really like basketball and may not just be able to get to one of those bigger schools. And playing in a small school environment is just probably a little bit better for them.
Yeah, but definitely, man. Really, feel what you're doing, man, and again, appreciate you coming on with me and talking. Like, so we would have had. I usually have Drew on with this
Yeah, I know.
on Monday, but he's caught up doing some stuff. So glad to have you on the talk ball with me, man.
No, anytime, man.
Yeah.
Anytime. Like I said yesterday, I wish I could have chimed in about the Bears game, but I was at the Team Rose event and trying to chug it home. We winning. Then I get home, like, oh, we losing? Like what happened?
That's the tough part with the Bears. Like I say, you either gotta watch all the Bears games or just you can't be right. You can't be you can't take for granted when they have good halves or good quarters even.
Exactly.
But they'll get back eventually. But I'm glad you were able to have another good day doing what you do, what you love to do, and enjoy that. Man. So like I said, we'll definitely keep up, man. And like I say, anything else you want to promote or anything,
no, man. If you guys get a chance, come out. Any coaches or anybody checking, come out and check us out. 27th to the 29th. Hoping and praying that everything's good with my team and we can be able to compete this week. Because the one thing I don't want to do is reschedule games or have games postponed due to COVID. But I mean, sometimes it's just safer that way for my kids and their families. At the end of the day, it's not always about basketball. It's about protecting the kids and protecting their families at the end of the day. So I want to make sure we're doing that. But yeah, if you guys get a chance to come out to Julian, and I really want to try to start getting the alumni out, man. Like I've been saying, like that's a huge component for me. Is just being able to get the alumni to come back to the school because there's so many people from Julian that when they stop, oh man, you coach at Julian, man, I went there, man, come back, come home, it's okay. Like I'm here for y'all at the end of the day, man. I want to keep those ties strong, and yeah, man, that's basically it for me. I mean, you'll see me around. Like I said, I'll be at college games and I'll be at high school games probably for the next 3 weeks.
Definitely, no doubt. Let's try to get it in as much as we can before any. Hopefully, there will be. Like I say, we will have to get back to any shutdown business, but take advantage of what we can while we can.
I was planning on going to that Bulls Lakers game, but that might be a no for me now.
Right,
Sunday.
Yeah, may not be a choice.
Yeah, I can honestly say I've never seen LeBron live, so that was one of my things. Like, I'm gonna go catch this dude out before he hang him up. But from the looks of it, it ain't looking. I don't want to go watch that.
I hear you. But Steve, man, again, like I said, appreciate you, bro. Good luck in the near future. We'll be talking soon online if anything. So
no problem, definitely, man. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, no problem, always. That's it, though. We're gonna wrap it up for this week's show. Next week should be it'll be the last Monday show of 2021. So hopefully Drew will be back for that.
He'll be back. Drew will be back, man. I'm speaking into existence, man.
I'm sure he will. I can rely on Drew on most weeks, but it'll be like a year-end wrap-up show, doing our thing. Nice. And that's it for now. Though we'll have Running with WARR back on Wednesday with the guys doing that thing there. Hopefully we'll have some more news on what's going on with the Bulls and the NBA with COVID stuff. And that's it for now. Thursday as well. I'll promote this. Hopefully we won't have to push it back again, but should be having the group Abstract Mind State rap group, rap greats here on the underground in Chicago with me and Dave on in the building. And yeah, that's it. We wrapping up for the year. We're gonna finish strong for the year 2021. And hope you do as well. So enjoy your week, enjoy the rest of your evening, y'all. And keep it safe and keep it steady, all right? Talk to y'all.